Let me give you a number. $400 billion. That's more than Elon Musk, more than Jeff Bezos, GDP of most countries on Earth. That was the estimated wealth of one single man. Not a tech billionaire, not an oil sheikh, an African king. His name was Mansa Musa. And he was so wealthy that when he took a trip, a single trip, he accidentally crashed the entire Egyptian economy just by passing through. You've heard of Alexander the Great. You've heard of Julius Caesar. You've heard of Genghis Khan. But what about the stories that history forgot?
But nobody taught you about the man who was richer, more powerful, and more influential than all of them combined. And that, as always, was not an accident.
To understand Mansa Musa, you need to understand what he was sitting on. It's the early 1300s AD. Europe is crawling out of the Dark Ages. The Black Death hasn't hit yet, but it's coming.
Most European kingdoms are poor, fragmented, and desperate. In the heart of what is today Mali, Senegal, Guinea, and beyond, the Mali Empire is absolutely booming. Why? 2 words: salt. The Mali Empire controls the largest known world. At its peak, it produces nearly half of the entire world's gold supply.
And salt, which in the medieval world was as valuable as gold itself, flows through Mali's trade routes like water. Every merchant caravan crossing every gram of gold heading to Europe or Arabia is taxed by the Mali Empire. The wealth flowing into the capital Niani is almost incomprehensible. And in 1312, a new king takes the throne, Mansa Musa, and he is about to show the world exactly how rich he is.
In 1324, Mansa Musa decides to make the Hajj, the Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca. Now, when most people make the Hajj, they pack their bags, maybe bring some money for the journey, and travel humbly. Mansa Musa brings 60,000 people. Let that number sink in. 60,000 people, including 12,000 personal servants. Each servant dressed in Persian silk and carrying a golden staff. He brings 80 camels, each camel carrying 300 pounds of gold dust. As his procession crosses the Sahara and enters Egypt, the most powerful trading hub in the medieval world, something extraordinary happens. Mansa Musa starts giving gold away, to the poor on the streets, to mosque workers, to anyone who catches his eye. He builds mosques along his route just because he can. He spends so much gold in Cairo, so much gold floods the Egyptian market in such a short time, that he triggers massive inflation. The value of gold in Egypt crashes by 25% and takes 12 years to recover. One man, one shopping trip, broke an entire country's economy. The medieval world had never seen anything like it. Arab historians recorded it in astonishment. European mapmakers started putting Mali on their maps for the first time. For one brief moment, the world knew exactly where the real power was. And then, history looked away.
When Mansa Musa returned from Mecca, he brought something back more valuable than all his gold. Scholars, architects, ideas. He commissioned the construction of the Jingareba Mosque in Timbuktu, a masterpiece of African architecture that still stands today. He transformed Timbuktu from a trading post into one of the greatest centers of learning in the medieval world. At its peak, the University of Sankore in Timbuktu had over 25,000 students, at a time when Oxford University was just getting started. Its libraries contained hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, on mathematics, astronomy, medicine, philosophy and law. Today, over 700,000 ancient manuscripts from this era have been recovered in Mali. 700,000 manuscripts. From an African university. In the 14th century, when you were taught about the preservation of knowledge during the Middle Ages, you were probably taught about European monasteries. Maybe about Arab scholars. Nobody mentioned Timbuktu. Nobody mentioned the African university that was teaching advanced mathematics while Europe was still debating theology. That omission, that silence, is not an accident. It never is.
Why this still matters. The Mali Empire eventually declined after Mansa Musa's death. Power struggles, succession crises, the rise of neighboring empires. By the 1400s, the great empire had fragmented, and Europe, which was just beginning its age of exploration and colonization, found it very convenient to encounter an Africa that seemed primitive, disorganized, in need of civilizing. The story of Mansa Musa, of Timbuktu, of 700,000 manuscripts and 25,000 students, didn't fit that narrative. So it was quietly left out of the history books. But here's what I want you to take away from this story. The narrative that Africa had no great civilizations before European contact is not just wrong. It is a deliberate lie. Axum, Mali, Kush, Carthage, Zimbabwe, empire after empire, civilization after civilization, all real, all documented, all deliberately minimized in the version of history most of us were taught. Mansa Musa existed. His gold broke Egypt's economy. His university taught 25,000 students. These are historical facts, recorded by Arab historians, confirmed by archaeological evidence. The only question is, why did it take a YouTube channel in 2024 to tell you? That's the thread, and we're not done pulling it.
The Mali Empire eventually declined after Mansa Musa's death. Power struggles, succession crises, the rise of neighboring empires.
Timbuktu still exists today. The manuscripts are still being restored and digitized, a race against time as climate change threatens the region. Mansa Musa's mosques still stand. His legacy still shapes West African culture and identity, the richest man who ever lived. And he built libraries, not armies.
If today was the first time you'd heard of Mansa Musa, I genuinely want to know. And if this video made you angry that nobody taught you this, a like takes 2 seconds and helps this story reach more people who deserve to hear it. I'll see you in the next thread.